Hello, I'm Helen, founder and chief engagement officer of Dr. Helen Holton and Associates and host of Dr. Helen Speaks, Strengths, Resilience, and Leadership. Welcome to our show today. As a strengths, resilience, and leadership coach, I help women like you to leverage your strengths, manage weaknesses, and build resilience to do and be a better you. Now, you might be asking, well, what's my payoff for doing that, spending this time with you? Well, I'll tell you. It's increased performance, productivity, and prosperity potential. Or in business talk, profits, the bottom line. And think about it. Everything in life we do to some extent, we're measuring it against our bottom line. We want to make sure that we're getting more good out of it than what we're putting out into it so that it comes back to us. The key ingredient of building your strengths, managing your weaknesses, and building resilience is engagement. Now, I'm here to help you engage deeper and discover or further develop your unique path to more of what you really want for your life. I'll be the first to tell you, it's not easy. And it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. If you stick with the journey, the payoff is living your best life ever on your terms. Now, I'll be here every Tuesday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, which is the time that you'll find me on the Win-Win Women TV lineup of shows, and 1 p.m. Eastern time, because I know many of you are on the East Coast. And as we grow, we'll expand across the country and over the globe. And it helps to keep me on track. Trust you me. Time differences is not one of those things I'm best at. So what will happen each week is that I'll share with you from the wisdom of lived experiences and earned expertise gained along life's journeys. For me, it's an opportunity to pay it forward with you. But along this journey, it's not just me that you'll hear from. You'll hear from some dynamic women, leaders who impact and influence women and the world, just like you do and I strive to do every day. So welcome to the Strengths, Resilience, and Leadership journey. What I know is that if you're here, I know it's because you acknowledge the leader within you. Now, we don't always acknowledge ourselves as these big, super powerful leaders. No, we don't. But over time, if you're here, there's a seed growing in you to help you move to a new level. Now, I begin each show with an attitude of gratitude. And when we're here together, it's not by coincidence, it's by intention. Think for a minute, how many things in this life do you do intentionally? I mean, really giving thought and purpose to what you're doing, why you're doing it, what's your why? Well, for me, I didn't get to this place by just doing what I thought was going to happen. I had to spend some time and working to figure out, what does it mean to do it on purpose with intention? And so as a part of my attitude of gratitude, it's always important for me to think about the people, especially the women that have helped me get to where I am today. Most importantly, I'm grateful for you, but I'm also very grateful for the vision of Paula Fellingham, founder and visionary leader of Win-Win Women TV, with a goal to connect the more than 3.9, that's right, 3.9 billion women on the planet for growth, motivation, inspiration, success, and community. You know, we really do live in a local, global community. And as a colleague of mine put it, she says, we live in a global community. And when she first said, I said, huh? global, local. I said, well, it makes perfectly good sense to me. Yes. I also want you to keep in mind that engagement is about relationships. Relationships live at the core of everything we do, even with ourselves. We're not created to complete tasks and check the boxes on our to-do list. No, that's a part of what we do, but that's not what we were created to do. Our greatest strengths and power lives in our ability to connect and engage with each other, to make life happen for our success, but more importantly, the success that we help to build in others. Engagement is important. And I want to give a big thank you to Norma Hollis for the invitation to join this network of like-minded women. Norma leads the Communication and Connection channel, where this show, Dr. Helen Speaks, is housed. The Communication and Connection channel is about self, others, and the universe. And yes, I talk about this every week, but it's important to understand how connected we are in what we do. So I don't want you to leave here today, and whether you tune in again or you tune in every week, keep in mind that we are all connected in what we do. So it begins with self, others, and the universe. When you think about self, who are you? And I want you to write these things down, because these are questions I want you to, in this space and place where we are right now, winding down 2021, getting ready for 2022. Who are you? What's your purpose in this life? What are you most passionate about? What do you want for your life? What wakes you up with energy and joy every morning or afternoon or evening? You know, these days we work all around the clock. So it's morning for me. It might be afternoon or evening, depending upon how your day evolves. Others, how do you receive and perceive you? How do others receive and perceive you? How do you show up, communicate, and engage others with impact? And then there's the universe. Well, if no one's told you, let me be the first. You imprint the world with a unique impression that no one else can do or bring. It's the mark you make in this life, the impression you leave in the hearts and minds of people who you connect and engage with. How do you bring it forth for good? Not suggesting that you bring it forth for anything else, but how do you really bring the best of who you are on this world and this planet for good? Well, Win-Win Women is here to help you identify, use, and maximize your unique it, that thing we all have. Whether you want to refine it, revise it, or revel in the richness of it, my commitment is to help you get there. The Heart of Communication and Connection channel is to help you think deeply. What does that mean? To communicate through your experiences and expertise with confidence and conviction. It's not enough just to be confident when you go out there and imprint the world, but you want to go out there and be convicted in what you do and what you believe you do. And lastly, number one, it's to think deeply. Number two, it's to communicate. And number three, it is to do differently and to do it with more power, to be the best possible you. As your guide, together we'll explore how you can leverage your strengths, manage weaknesses, build resilience as a leader. All necessary elements to grow your leadership in life. Are you ready to go? Great. Me too. Let's hit it for today. What will we think about today? Well, we're moving into part 3 or 4. I can't keep up. One of the two of this series that started. Yes, part 3. I'm going to introduce you to 2 more assessment tools. Last week, our discussion was focused on the DISC assessment, which stands for dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness. DISC, D-I-S-C, makes sense. And we talked about the Myers-Briggs type indicator, which has 4 pairs of ways of being that culminates into 16 different ways you show up. And we did a deeper dive into what DISC has to offer and what Myers-Briggs offers, how they're similar in individual analysis and how they differ. Today, we'll explore 2 more leadership personality and perspective assessments: the Hogan Assessments System and multi-rater feedback tool, more commonly referred to as the 360-degree multi-rater appraisal, multi-source feedback, however you choose to see it, it's referred to in all these ways. What it boils down to, it's a holistic individual employee review process. Now, these 2 tools both focus primarily on who you are in your work environment. And I say this, it's really one company that brings this forth. There are other companies that bring 360, but what I like is that I think it is more in alignment with the assessments that they do to do their 360. But in the end, it still gives you the same rich data about you. They give you perspective on you and how others perceive you. Now, the 360 is different in that they gather feedback, or rather, as I like to term it, feed forward. Because who wants to keep going backwards? We want to look at ways of being through the eyes of others that will help us continue to move forward on this journey of life. From you and sources outside of yourself. So you are part of the 360 assessment because the same questions that are going to be posed to others, you're going to answer them for yourself and then compare the scores. So who are those that you're going to seek outside of you to help you have a better perspective on who you are and how you show up and how you impact people at different levels of engagement you have with them within your work environment? So you're going to ask a few colleagues or peers. You're going to ask some of your managers or supervisors or executives that you report to. And you're going to also ask some of your direct reports, those you lead if you have that responsibility. And sometimes, depending upon the structure and nature of your organization, you're going to ask a couple of your customers to weigh in on their perspective and how you do what you do and bring it forth. So although they're designed for the work environment, they also reveal ways about you and how you show up in life personally. Now, as a whole person, which we all are, still developing, maybe we don't feel whole, but trust you me, we're whole persons. And separating or segmenting who you are in different spaces and places is not so easily segregated or managed. What do I mean by that? As a complete and whole person, the thought of divvying up who we are, depending on the situation we're in, can sometimes be confusing and even conflicting. So back to the point of what this series was all about, there's power in assessments and appraisals, especially when they've been found to be validated and reliable. I don't know how much you know about it, but I know a lot. There are tons of assessments and appraisals and ways of having a look at who you are. One of the discerning points you always want to find out about, and it doesn't mean you have to go and personally do research on the tool, but you want to know, you want to ask the person who's asking you to take it. Well, talk to me about the reliability or what validated this tool. What does it mean for an assessment to be reliable and validated? Well, according to doctors Joyce and Robert Hogan, there are two main questions to determine the accuracy of assessment results. And really, that's what reliability and validation point to. How accurate is this tool? Does it measure what it's designed to measure? All assessments are not the same, as we've kind of ventured down this road already. And does it measure consistently? Accuracy requires evidence of validity and reliability. And reliability refers to the degree to which the results from an assessment are consistent from one use of the assessment to the next. Reliability refers to the consistency of the measurement. Validity, on the other hand, addresses the extent to which the results can be interpreted and used for its intended purpose. It's important to know what outcome you're looking for when you're taking or being given an assessment. There are times you might want to go out there and just decide, I really want to know more about who I am. And some people are adventurous and they may not look to someone to help them figure that out. And they may want to do a lot of that legwork on their own. These days, there's always someone that can do that legwork that can keep you focused on what you know and do best. So high reliability can be valid for one purpose at a time. Take, for example, let's say you need to hire a new staff person, or maybe you're at the executive level and you're looking to promote a rising leader that you think has the potential to be in the C-suite at the executive level. This is where using the right instrument is important. There's no one way to determine reliability and validity without having a clearly defined purpose and intention for the assessment's use. The Hogan assessments tools today have more than 10 million people who've taken the assessment, with about 1 million people annually taking it for the first time. What does that mean? It means that their database continues to grow and to validate the reliance of their assessment and appraisal tools in the work environment. We're going to take a look at Hogan in a minute, but I just want to tell you, I love taking assessments. I don't take them as much as I used to because I found the ones that have really identified to me who I am, how I show up, and what it means. And so I'm very discerning in those assessment tools. And as a coach that works with leaders regularly, I like to make sure the assessments that I'm presenting to them have been vetted, they're validated, they're reliable. And what I found is that it serves to be true as I take clients through these. Back to the Hogans, and I love this, a husband and wife team. They founded their company in 1987. They're actually pioneers in the use of personality assessments to improve workplace performance. What made them pioneers was their approach, with a goal to reduce biases in the talent acquisition, hiring, and talent development, growth, and leadership potential, which is how they began. Now, before launching their company, this team of personality psychologists knew there had to be a better way to measure personality without such great reliance on biased thinking. Oh my goodness. I just can't wait till we get to part 4 because we're going to talk more about that. We all live with conscious and unconscious biases. And it was the Hogans in their research that began before their company was ever a reality, but in their independent and collective research in the years leading up to the Civil Rights Act of 1964, that the EEOC, or Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, followed. Even with these legislative measures in place, the discrimination and misuse continue to allow employers to avoid hiring women, people of color, and other now protected groups. And we know some of those other groups. It could be the physically challenged or disabled. It could be the LGBT, lesbian, bisexual, transgender community. And there are others out there, those with mental illness, those with cognitive challenges. Doesn't mean they can't do or be, it's just how we look at them. How did they manage to do that? Employers began using workplace assessments and other selection processes, even after the Civil Rights Act, to unfairly create and promote opportunities in favor of white men. Well, in America and many places around the world, isn't it the men that tend to have, quote unquote, the best, knowing all the things that should happen? Well, it's not always that true. But following decades of research, study, and hands-on work in diversity, equity, and inclusion, the Hogan Assessments were launched. They are a validated and reliable set of assessment tools. Perfect? No, not at all. They're extremely useful and eliminate some of the intentional, conscious, and unconscious ways of discriminating in the hiring and leadership development of non-white males. Have you noticed the diversity and inclusion of boardrooms lately, or senior leadership in organizations, and the rise of women, people of color, and other protected classes of persons? I have, and part of that is due to the work of Doctors Joyce and Robert Hogan. Their development of workplace personality assessments as a tool for fairness and equity in the workplace is working. Now, the core purpose of their tool is to assist individuals and organizations succeed by using data-driven insights to expand talent pools of diversity, to be more inclusive and equitable. As a woman of color, diversity, equity, and inclusion is a central part of the work I do in my coaching and consulting practice. The evidence is clear that diverse and equitable inclusion always yields better outcomes, period. And there's evidence all over the place to support this. Belonging means a lot, more than most want to believe. So the Hogan Assessments, there are 3 primary assessments that they use, along with the 360 multi-rater. You can use one or all of them. There are no good or bad profiles that come out or results that come from this. It's information about you. The first of their assessments is the Hogan Personality Inventory, or referred to as the HPI, that looks at the bright side of personality. It measures how others are likely to see you in everyday situations along 7 dimensions of personality. Their second assessment is the Hogan Development Survey, or the HDS, referred to as the dark side of personality. Yeah, the dark side. It measures behaviors that show up when you're not actively self-monitoring or not effectively self-monitoring. Now, these might include conditions like when you're stressed or bored, fatigued, complacent. I know one of these you can say, oh yeah, I've been at that place. Remember that meeting, that mandatory meeting that you were sitting in, that you couldn't wait till it ended because it was like, oh my goodness, not this again. Or, you know, do they have something that's really relevant for me? Many of these things, or just being highly stressed because everything you're working towards just doesn't seem to be producing the plans, the thoughts, the desires you had when you set out to do them. And so what happens? Different from the bright side when la, 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 everything's going cheery, you're feeling, oh yes, I'm this, I get it, yeah, yeah. To when you've got to Get your grind on, get in the weeds, not let stress get the better of you. Though you may be bored, how do you rebound from it? So the HDS helps to present to you some of your blind spots, those areas and ways of being that you may not readily see or find much value for. The third primary assessment is the MVPI, motives, values, preferences inventory. This is where you look at the inside of personality. It measures core drivers, motives, preferences. It predicts the organizational culture that best fits you and the kind of culture you'd create for your team if you're directing others. All important aspects. The three of them together really gives you what I consider kind of like a 360 view of who you are. And then there's the Hogan 360, the multi-rater tool I spoke of that gives you a comparative look at how you see yourself and how those who engage with you directly see and perceive you. That would be your peers, your colleagues on the same level as you, your direct reports, those persons that you are charged with leading in the organization, and your upline, that manager, supervisor, or executive that you report to. And sometimes organizations will ask external customers. Now you choose these persons that you want to give this feedback because you want to make sure they're people that you have some relationship with, that some level of engagement with. And so to be most effective, this feedback or feed forward, I want you to kind of put that in your psyche. You need at least 5 to 8 people to complete this in addition to yourself. So that's a little bit about the Hogan and their assessment tools. Some of the leadership growth and development tools we've explored thus far have been DISC and Myers-Briggs. Today, we're taking a look at the Hogan assessment and the 360 multi-rater. And for our next show, we'll discuss 2 more tools, my favorite 2, by the way, so you don't want to miss next week, which happens to be the beginning of a new year. Great opportunity to look at, maybe it's time for me to look at one of these for myself. Here's the question I want to leave you with. And if you got paper and pencil, I want you to jot this down. Do you have the opportunity to do what you do best every day? One more time. Do you have the opportunity to do what you do best every day? My goal here at Dr. Helen Speaks, Strengths, Resilience, and Leadership, is to help you get there. I'm living my best life ever, and I want that for you too. How bad do you want it for you? Now is a great time to begin to think about what resonates with you. What do you want for the rest of your life? Are you on that path to get it? If not, what are you willing to do to birth something different? I wouldn't be here today, but short of taking the time to find out more about me. And what I've noticed over the years is that as I continue to, I don't take assessments like I used to, because as I said earlier, I've taken enough to really nail where I want to be. But I want you to begin to think about, even if it's no more than tuning in to Dr. Helen Speaks, I promise you, you'll get some nuggets that will spur you forward. I'm living my best life ever, and I want you to as well. Join Dr. Helen Speaks here on Win Win Women TV every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time and 1 p.m. Eastern time. And together we'll work to help you live your best life ever, doing what you do best every day. Let's take some time now and get together and connect.